and then I want to open the floor because I don't have anything specific to chat about today. I will say, actually, the one thing I'll mention, I lied. I do have something to talk about. I'm just wondering if other people saw this this project come out. Oh, that's the wrong. I'm just copying this so I can get the font size. So
Seen it.
yeah, so I think it's worth mentioning this. So this project is essentially it's coming from Google, specifically Tim Hawken, who he's a distinguished engineer at Google, been there a long time, has worked on Kubernetes for years, and oops, oh, I shared a specific. I thought I was. Hold on. So the this okay. So this is specifically by Tim Hawken, the guy. He's been very involved in Kubernetes, and he released this project because he thought that, and we agree with him, but basically his idea is that the kind of agents need a new way of running on top of Kubernetes, that the traditional workload management doesn't really apply or works for agents, and that the existing solutions were not good enough. And on our side, Solo and a lot of other Kagent folks, we agree with him, and we actually built something very similar internally, but decided to join forces with Tim and those folks to work on this. So we're going to be adding this support to Kagent pretty soon. Peter already has a POC of that. And so we're really excited because we think this is going to enable a ton of added security and performance in Kagent that was not possible without it. And obviously it's still very early, but we're really excited about this. So yeah. And just kind of as like, conceptually why this is so, like, what about this is so speaks to us is that it's basically, everyone's been talking about serverless forever, and in a lot of ways, talking to Tim about this, is that this is basically like a serverless framework on top of Kubernetes. And so it's called Agent Substrate, but really it's a serverless system. And so it allows running pretty much anything, and with snapshotting and networking control built in from the beginning. Right now it uses gvisor, but we're planning on adding support for Firecracker as well. So yeah, really looking forward to this. And for example, like, I mean, I guess does anyone have any questions about this, or what this thing is, why it's important? Any questions?
Dumb question maybe, but I guess is it that like you're trying to like make use of it so that you don't have like long running agents, but like instead like replace that with something that you can instantiate like a pod to run some agentic like operation and then like let that pod die. Is that the kind of thing it's aiming to solve, like for K agents use case, or no?
Basically, yes. So the way that this works is it's essentially pools of workers. It has two APIs. There's the worker pool and the actor template. And so basically the idea is that you attach actors, in our case agents, to worker pools, and they run, and then when they're done, again, it's not an opinionated system. So the idea is you can build whatever you want on top of it. So we have to decide exactly.
Yeah. So you can run your agent. It gets scheduled onto one of the available workers, and then the agent, once it's done, the agent has the ability, if it wants to, right, to call the API to say, "Hey, I'm done. I don't need that worker anymore. Suspend the worker for me." Right. But yeah, it's pools of workers and then workloads, actors that get scheduled on these, right?
Exactly. So
and it has not permanent, but what's the word? Persistent storage.
Persistent storage.
Right.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that you can actually move the agent between the workers, right?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, that's the whole point. Yeah, you can suspend it and then you can resume it again. It could end up on a different worker, and it'll have all the history, all the persistence, everything. Right?
And is this scheduler is kind of like additional scheduler inside?
Yes.
So
yeah. So the way it works is there's two scheduling aspects here. There's Kubernetes scheduling for hardware, basically, and then there's or for the VMs, and then there's the scheduler. There's the substrate scheduler on top. So you create the worker pools, and those actually schedule you the VMs and the pods. And then there's, right, so that uses node autoscalers, all that stuff, and actual, Kubernetes scheduling. And then there's the added scheduling on top of that, which is the actors inside of those worker pools. And right now they use Redis equivalent, Valkey. I guess Google's very specific about their open source stuff. So it uses Redis basically for that scheduling, which makes sense because it's really like a cache, right? It's the source of truth. Anyway, whatever. It's not really a cache. Anyway.
And this agent is actually per session, right? So it's a one-to-one mapping, like agents per session.
Yeah, exactly.
So can we say it allows like really like a long running session in this case to be like suspended, and then you can resume it when.
So right now the plan is just to add agent harness as the first step, which is the new API that we added. For those of you who don't know, we added a new API called the agent harness to run like NemoClaw and soon Hermes on top of Kagent. So that was added here, or it was added by Peter in our last recent release, and so we're going to be adding it there at first. But the plan long term is to bring it to all of our agents, right? Because as you said, it can be one-to-one. At first, it'll be optional, right? What your runtime is. Do you want to use Kubernetes raw deployments, or do you want to use Substrate? But as it evolves, who knows? Maybe it'll become the default. Because exactly like you said, now you can have long-running sessions that map one-to-one. So this enables, whether you want to run like any harness, right? The idea is that Kagent becomes like the place to run and manage any agents on Kubernetes, and as the ecosystem moves more towards these long-running agents, right? This is really the first project that we've seen with the right backing and the right architecture that we believe in. So it's just kind of, from our perspective, the right combination of forces.
Yeah, I think everyone agreed that the pod was too much, and we discussed it also several times that we want something like scale to 0, ability to suspend. So this gives all of this.
Yep, exactly.
And it seems like the contributors who are now on this project, they also the same who did like other stuff. So we should expect like a support of this in kind and local dev.
So it's already there. I mean, their demo. I don't know if you've played with it.
It works there. That's by
yeah.
default. Yeah, it works on kind. You don't need.
Yep. And yeah, like I said, I mean, from the, it definitely like we recommend everyone in the Kagent community to go check it out. Solo, I'll say, are very interested, and we will be. We've already started contributing, and we're working with the community there, and we plan to become very, very involved. Because again, we understand like this, we really believe in this product. So, and
yeah, very cool.
Any other questions?
So, like, for example, when you say like how it would be implemented to like next to like in the like let's just say a session inside of the UI right now, like you'd be able to see the entire like conversation spanning multiple agents or agents talking to other agents, and then every time that you like invoke another like A to A task, like it would just spin up another pod and then delete that pod. Is that kind of that's the flow, or
so it wouldn't spin up a pod. The pods are static. So the way that, but yes, it would spin up a new worker, or sorry, a new actor. Yeah.
It's basically pod is become like a node for those internal agents. It's like another layer. You go deeper, like.
So no, so they in their case, it's not a node. A worker, a pod is a pod. It's one to one. It's not.
I mean, virtually, it's like one pod is hosting multiple actors, right?
No, not for them. So that's one space of disagreement between us and them, which who knows how it'll end up. But right now, it's actually one to one, and they do fancy scheduling, right? So you can overcommit resources in a way that you can't normally, because right as one finishes, you can pause workloads that are idle and add different workloads in there.
But for example, if one pod is hosting a workload, is it the same type or template, or it's a multiple mixture?
Oh, I see. It's multiple, yes, but only one can be running at a time. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yes. So you could have different actors running, but they can't be running at the same time.
And then, for example, the missing identity thing, right? So how this identity will be like working? Because we had until now we have only pod identity, the level, right? So after that, you need to implement like another process which will be inside this pod, which will kind of do something like in a similar way, like we had a pod identity, but it will be inside the pod identity, or how exactly?
Yeah, so I mean, I can't, I don't have an exact answer for you. The answer is that that's exactly the kind of thing that we need to like work on with the community. Yeah, exactly, James. Yes. That would be that would be what I would say, is that basically there would be some sort of system, aka Istio or something like it, involved, or maybe Agent Substrate is the control plane, but that basically there would be some sort of metadata service, something which would be spun up inside of these, inside of the actor, inside of the workers when the actors run, which are able to give them their identity, and whether that be a JOT or and just some sort of SVID. But you're right, it does have to be managed by something other than Kubernetes. Kubernetes can be the source of truth in terms of, does the system trust this thing? But this thing needs to be, there needs to be something else issuing the identity, and that is TBD. I can say that again, like from my perspective, it would be like the, whatever it would be is like the Kubernetes, let's say something in the worker, right, would authenticate to the identity manager and say, hey, I'm worker X, and then I have the ability to identify, right, actors or whatever, and then it's able to then essentially ask for JOTs or certs, and whether that happen on egress or it directly gives them, right, like these are all open questions, but it's got to be something like that. Yeah.
So did they run something like called 8let, right? It's kind of like a kubelet, but it's like 8let. Inside one, each pod will run this process, right? Which is kind of like a coordinator.
So that's not how it works today. But yes. There exactly. There's some sort. Yeah, I don't remember. Sorry, I don't remember if it's the 8lit. There's a bunch of names. Maybe I was thinking of the 18. There's like a.
That's why I was like saying it's like analogy of the node, because
yes,
you have like a kubelet, you have this 8let, which is just running inside the pod, but then you basically can do the same things as.
So the 8let right now runs as a daemon set.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then the Atium or whatever, Atom or whatever they call it, the name is
crazy names.
Anyway, yeah, the naming's hard, right? So that thing is actually going to be the component that it runs in the pod basically, and it's able to like, it does the commands where it runs gvisor, et cetera, and in the future, it's like a little microprocess that runs in the pod. Yeah.
So basically they are well isolated. There is a gvisor, okay,
but again, gvisor, there's certain, like gvisor doesn't work everywhere. Like that's gvisor is definitely a Googleism, so
Kata, Firecracker as well needed.
Exactly. The problem with Kata is you can't. So Kata is built on Firecracker, but Kata is actually a container runtime, right? Built with Firecracker, but this is not containers. This is straight VM. So right now, the only two VM providers that would work in the system are Firecracker and gvisor, because they can pause. They can do pause resume, which is built into the system, which I'm cool with that. I think pause resume is really important. But I do just want to say that those are kind of the only two options right now. So the cluster does require, or the nodes that you're running on. Sorry, I just got to plug in my computer. The nodes you're running on will require nested virtualization in order to make this work. Just FYI, it will be a requirement. So it is an added thing that your machines will need.
In context of the Kagent, it's if now we have, let's say, a pod, and this pod has agent card, right, for the A2A and also some other stuff. So you're saying we would need to invent like a kind of naming routing on top of it, right?
Yep.
And basically have another namespace per, based on a pod, what is inside. Okay.
What do you mean another namespace?
Like if now in one pod we will have multiple agents running, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if someone is calling it from chat, we would need to solve this routing. So like service name, discovery, and all of it, right?
Yep.
Or is it going to be like the same web-based with request, or maybe like event-based, where you have pub sub?
Open questions. Right now, probably still web, probably still HTTP with A2A, just not to rock the boat too much. And they do have DNS. They have names, so it should be. And what we'll probably do is, have a router on top of the system, whether it's a core part of Substrate or something that Kagent maintains. I don't know where this is going to go, but something that does like, warm loading. It's like serverless functionality, right? Where you hold requests until you have
probably because they support like a templates for those pools, warm pools, right? We can define our own like Kagent template with all required extra routers.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. So the actor templates will be will be from us. The worker pools will be optionally created by us, I mean, again, this is a POC right now, and the API is going to evolve. But so yeah, something like that.
But
Yes.
it's quite a big change. Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll definitely be optional, right? At first, this is a very big change, and it's a really core difference. But this is the direction that we believe everything is moving, and we think that this is the best way to get us there. So, yeah, that's basically that. You know what I mean? Like if you look around at how, like, we again, just be honest, right? We're all big fans of Kagent here. We can say this, like that the pod thing is a limitation. It's a real limitation. And this is a I think a really elegant way around it that is and it has a lot of the sort of like the Kubernetes heavyweights behind it. So I think it's a good and it architecturally aligns very much with what the things that we've been saying this whole time, and that I've been thinking, and again the thing that I built that did a very similar thing. So I'm feeling really good about all of that.
One more question: is it so? This would only apply to agents that use the Go runtime, right? Or like optionally on top of
or Python, yeah.
Oh, it would be okay. So it offers what we would need to implement it for both. Okay,
definitely. I mean, in general, at a certain point, nobody should use eventually, hopefully, nobody is using Python, and especially with a system like this where startup time becomes more important. Python is just going to be. I mean, if you got to wait 15 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever, for your conversation to start, that seems pretty crazy to me. There's no upside. Right. So at a certain point, I think we'll migrate over to the Go completely, but that's, for sure, it's secondary, right? It's like orthogonal, right?
That's awesome.
Josh, I saw you joined, and Masood, I saw you two join after we begun. Do you guys want like a high level summary, or are you caught up? Yeah. Any questions?
Hi again. I've been here. I mean, from the beginning. I heard
okay.
Yeah, thanks again. There is nothing from my side. I'm working on it. Everything's okay. There are lots of questions in Discord, and then sometimes I can't understand, but I try to answer these questions.
Yeah,
in Discord.
I really appreciate it. Sometimes, I'm really overwhelmed. I really appreciate help from anyone jumping in on questions there, because between reviewing tons of PRs and everything. So I really appreciate it. I've been noticing those answers. All right, Josh, and anything from you? I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I've been on vacation.
What's that? No, just kidding.
Yeah, I feel like I missed most of what you guys were talking about with this.
Okay. So do you want a high level, or I'm happy to just basically.
Yeah, if you can give just like a super brief. I don't want to hold things up.
Yeah. So basically, have you heard of this agent substrate project that we were discussing?
I have not.
Okay, so Tim Hawken over at Google, he's one of the distinguished engineers working on like Kubernetes networking. Him and his team started this project, and they open sourced it a couple weeks ago. We've been talking to them, and basically what it is it's a framework for running things on Kubernetes in a way that is sort of native to how agents and MCP servers run in a serverless manner. So it has a lot of the sort of agentic primitives built in, but reusing all of the Kubernetes scheduling and resource constraints. So it kind of allows you to get the best of both worlds. And so we on the Solo side and on the Kagent side are really excited about this. It's kind of the first project that we've seen that aligns very directly with our vision in terms of how we think scheduling and security should work with regard to agents going forward. And so we're working really closely with that team over there, and we're planning on implementing Substrate as essentially a runtime 4K agent directly. And we'll be basically building, and we'll be building it alongside them and adding things 4K agent. But we really believe that this will make Kagent better in the long term. We're going to be starting with the agent harness, but we're going to be migrating. We're going to be moving into just the default agents as well. So you'll be able to use Agent Substrate as a generic runtime for all of your agents. And what that'll allow is basically stateful sessions with file systems in a cheap, fast way. So that and as we see more and more agents requiring file systems for more, of their runtime and feature set, we think that is the right to go.
No, that sounds cool. Yeah, I'll have to check out the project and read more about it.
What about MCP servers? Is any plans to also to compress them into the substrate?
Yeah, I mean, so no explicit plans, but no reason not to. Absolutely, basically. I think yeah, we could easily also add this to KMCP. I think the thing is that MCP servers are really just applications. So like for remote MCP servers, it's kind of hard. Well, anyway, I would love if you have a way you can think of like how we can, I guess we could just simplify, like we could abstract using Substrate in our system and basically say like, just give us the container image and the arguments and we'll run it for you or something like that. I mean, like, what are you thinking?
No, it means that if a substrate will be enabled, we should use this extra DNS pass, right?
Yeah.
That's it. And then also like to see how everything will work together.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is also like another layer for those who will use mesh on top of it. It's still not clear how it will work. I mean, it sounds like I don't know even how it will work together, but yeah, that's still a lot of open questions, because like it's simple case, I understand, but if for example you apply on top of it like service mesh,
Mm-hmm.
and then each substrate agent to MCP needs to be addressable with a unique service name, how routing will work, other stuff. Yeah, by the way, it's a good bridge to topic of MCP spec is RC, and they canceled certain things. They canceled the statefulness. They say it's stateless now fully.
Mm-hmm.
So do we have any impact about it because of it?
Well, I think we definitely should get rid of SSE support. I'm guessing that they got rid of that too, right?
I haven't checked that part yet. I just seen that it's RC version and it was published like RC, so need to check what if there are any issues or compatibility.
I haven't checked yet.
Yeah.
But probably
I think the SSE can only be sent during the request while it's still live, rather than like async.
But do they have like because they used to have two separate protocols? They had streamable HTTP and SSE.
My understanding, I only just gave a quick brief review on Friday, but it seems like basically it's all in one request now, but during that request, the server can still like initiate server-side requests back to the client. At least that was my read of it. I haven't actually tried it out yet.
Actually, I couldn't find the right link for that RC. Oh. Okay, I think it's this one.
I mean, the reality is, I don't think it should matter too much because we don't really rely on statefulness at all. And we should just pick up the new libraries as soon as they're ready. And that should be that. So I'm not particularly worried about it.
Yep. Okay.
Alrighty. Does anybody have anything else? I'll add this to the community. So you beat me to it.
If there's nothing else, I wanted to just like bring up like a small topic of has anyone seen or like familiar with the issue regarding like remote agents in the Kagent repo right now?
Is this the one about the identities?
Let me see if I can get that real quick.
The one with the session name being a UUID?
No, I don't think so. Let me see. Remote agent type, feature remote agent type in focus. So I guess it's like from last year. I'm gonna put it in the chat right here. Yeah. This one. I just like I noticed that somebody had asked about it like 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
And honestly, like I'm really interested in getting onto my fork, at least the pieces that are relevant to me for what it is I want to try next. But like for one of the I guess the main use case I'm trying to get through where my company is to essentially have a Slack bot to be able to interact with one or more clusters and have almost like, again, I don't know what the right way to implement it yet is. I just know that it would somehow need to be able, like we have a registry that would be able to resolve like specific tenants that we have to what cluster that they're in. So having a way to be able to like allow just that one agent, like specific agents, to be able to interact with multiple clusters while the rest of the agents are kind of inherently only like.
So what I would say is, what I would say is generally, I think I would stay away. Like, unless you really, okay, the problem with remote agents is that like it kind of breaks down the the model of ownership in Kagent because it's not clear who's responsible for saving the state of the agents. Right, because in Kagent today, agents save their own state and then we read it. But in the case of a remote agent, in order to chat with it, the Kagent controller essentially needs to be intercepting and saving all of the state, and it's really ugly. Now, I can understand. So, I think like for your use case specifically, I would say honestly, just run the MCP servers in a remote cluster. It doesn't feel to me like there's any reason to run specific agents unless you tell me otherwise. What do you think? You're muted.
When I first demoed this, like initially, and got the interest that allowed me to continue to like justify more effort into it, that's exactly what I did. I had an MCP server. We have an operator for every like customer that we have, and basically that MCP server had access to every other kube config relevant to, where that agent inside the DC that we were invoking like the request from, like it was able to resolve multiple instances outside of itself and give me what I need. But I was like, this is like a demo shiny, like this is.
Wait, hold on. Sorry. You had an MCP server which mapped to kube configs any other clusters, and you had MCP servers.
Basically how I accomplished it for the sake of showing it initially. And I was like, I really don't know if this is the right like thing to do long term. Let's reserve that for figuring out like later what the right way is. And I still haven't really figured it out.
So
this issue.
What authentication? Okay, so Josh, definitely I want to hear your opinion. What IDP do you guys use?
So we have like an internal like app. Like I guess I don't really want to like share all the like details and the names and whatnot of it, but it's kind of it'll provide us like OAuth like clients that would be similar to what you would get from I guess other either like Octo or what's the main one called Keycloak. That yeah.
So, Josh, I'm curious what you have to say here.
Yeah, we're building something extremely similar, like basically it's the same use case. The way we've been going about it is essentially each, like, we have like a control plane cluster and then like our like platform level that's actually doing all of the, serving and whatnot. In those clusters, we have just like a small agent, and then in our tool server, it has a client to call those. I think eventually we're going to move to just like MCP based, but essentially we have Kagent in each cluster, a main agent that's talking to the Slack bot, and then that can delegate requests out to the sub agents in each one. And the token flow for that is all using like Auth2 proxy. And the configuration is set up so that it accepts those tokens that get generated from the main agent.
Are you using this little guy here? Where is it, Jeremy?
Which one?
There's
Again?
like a pass-through option in the tool server to use the user auth.
Yeah.
Are you using that, Josh, or no?
Yeah.
The token, you mean, in the header?
Yeah, I think it's
That's
just pass-through.
that's the super advanced use case. Where is it?
I think more advanced
Here.
use case if you need a tunnel, if you don't have direct network, and you need to go.
This is like Evan, this little line here, 43 to 46, is like that's like your super advanced use case.
Okay, so I've never even like seen this. So
Yeah, so basically what this lets you do is, as Josh was saying, essentially you tunnel that you get the token to go from your initial proxy all the way through to your tool server, and you can use your initial user auth for the Kubernetes API server.
okay, I get
Yeah, and then like our tool server is like heavily modified on top of this, where it has like a remote call tool that has an A to A client. And that's how we're doing the remote agent stuff. It's not
Oh, wow.
necessarily my favorite way of doing it, but that's what we got working right now.
So you're wrapping A to A over MCP?
Yeah.
Is there a reason you're not just calling, like, not just putting, like, let's say a tool server in each cluster and calling that?
That's what we want to move towards. I think there was some hesitancy for like security stuff because like MCP is, I don't know. There isn't really great reasons for it, but that's what we felt would get the right approvals we need.
So
Security by committee.
I might have to kind of like rewatch this, wrap my head around how to change the approach. But so do you think it's safe to say like what was the issue I brought up? The remote agent type is something that we probably would not go in that direction.
That's what I would say, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the right word for this is like topology, right? Because you can have like either agent to agent or agent to many MCPs, or like agent over MCP, which is indirect. Yeah, so maybe I don't know, maybe we can have a page for all those use cases. Or
yeah, I'll take a to-do, sort of explain how, one would do. Yeah, I know, Josh. I don't know if, Josh, you'd be interested in, I know you'd probably, your answer here is going to be once you get to production, but if you're interested in blogging about any of your implementation, that would be awesome. I think people would really benefit from that.
I can help you ask all the stupid questions that you might need to form that blog article. Because yeah.
I mean, hopefully we're close, so we'll see.
That's really cool.
All right. Let me, yeah, I'll write down, let's see if we can get a blog going. Blog / explanation of basic.
does have some another stupid question, but does anyone running the Kagent tools on the EC2, like on the VM, not on Kubernetes?
No,
because it's also supported. Like you can technically run the just process, and even you can run it via SSH. So sometimes if you don't have direct cluster connectivity, but you, for example, you have a tunnel, you can have SSH connection to your jump host, and there you run tools, which basically works the MCP via like SSH.
I mean, I again, we haven't. I have not personally. Yeah, Dimitri, that's that extra special.
No, this is special enterprise use case where you, but you know when your security perimeter is like special, so you don't have direct ability to call like kubectl and stuff like this, you go via some host. Okay. But I was able to connect via this method via SSH and so on, and run the Kagent tools on the remote cluster, and then connecting it. It's not like really production use case, but someone might face the same issue. Just sharing.
All right, we're at time. I'm gonna go grab lunch because I'm starting.
And by the way, if you've seen the like Anthropic in their cloud, they also introduced like MCP tunnels.
Yeah,
So basically, like it's not all of what we just discussed. I think it has this bigger picture when depending on which side you want to run all your agents, and then you have like a multiple different places where you need tools. And sometimes the connectivity between is a bit tricky. So you need to have some kind of another layer of networking, which is like, I don't know, is it Tailscale or, some other solution with tunneling, like Cloudflare or something else. Don't open MCP directly to the internet. It's not good.
No, I agree. I definitely want to look more into the MCP tunnels thing. I'm curious. I haven't had a chance. It's a holiday here. Alrighty. Have a good week. I think do we have contributors? We do. We have contributors in 2 days. So I will see some of y'all in 2 days. And everyone else have a great rest of your week.
Awesome.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Awesome. Bye.